All things bright and beautiful. It's a beautiful morning on Osrc television. The program is Perspectives, and I'm glad to be here. Just the way I always be glad. My heart so much, and a lot of messages in it for people, especially the wealthy ones who believe that if I'm sick at this moment, the next thing is to jet out, travel abroad to seek medicine.
Beautiful yourself.
Thank you.
And of course, you too, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, based on what you both have said, I think it's high time we do that. We equipped our hospitals.
Yes.
Instead of using that money to fly all the way, the flights and everything, the process to go down there, I think we can use it to better our hospitals. This is the second time
that
we have a
out,
successful
yes.
surgery.
The first one was in 2010.
And guess what?
Yes.
It's in Nigeria.
Wow, Nigeria.
Yes, it's in Nigeria.
That's right.
No other place but here in Nigeria, our own home. So if we can have two successful surgery, we can do something better, more better. We can handle more cases.
Yes.
All we need is good equipment.
Yes.
And of course, our
Good
doctors,
equipment.
when we go down there, we do better.
Yes.
Then how much more in our own home, in our own country?
They do better because the facilities are there.
Yes. The encouragement is there.
Yes.
You know, for people who are put in charge of life, the better remuneration should also be better. They should be encouraged. And at least when hospitals are well equipped, and most time when the doctors want to go on strike, first is because of the equipment, lack of proper equipment in the hospital, the kind of stress they go through and all that, and then their own pay, themselves, the fact that their welfare also must be put in consideration. So if we have all of this, the brain drain we won't be having it in the medical sector. More equipment, solid ones, the one way they travel, go out, go meet there, to go bring and come here in Nigeria. And I believe that Nigerians are intelligent, they're ready to do excellent, they're smart. We are good.
And we have good hands.
Just like the saying, it said, the grass is greener where you water it. So instead of going to look for greener pastures,
water it here.
Why don't you water the one?
I am so proud to be in it.
I am this morning.
Yes.
Let's welcome on board. That's the voice and the faces of my beautiful ladies. And let's kick in the show. We're starting. As we take the short break, we'll come back and go to the newspaper headlines. Afterward, we are expecting to host a guest on one of our topics at the end of the day. Many thanks for rejoining us. It's still Perspectives on Osrc television, and we're going straight to the newspaper headlines. We have some newspaper headlines here this morning that we'll be taking. I will be starting with the Vanguard newspaper. It says University of Calabar joins beneficiaries of OPA's 1.2 billion naira 10-year scholarship program. Quite an interesting one there. To even, kill a chicken is a problem. They can't do it. You can't do it. Okay. Not to talk of taking human life.
Yes.
And most time they are usually under
the
influence of drugs, alcohol, and all manner of things they take. So you can imagine people go in into a village, and then at the end of the day, you just wipe out the entire community, kill, maim, destroy.
Honestly, you know, it's not their clear eyes. They are under the influence of something, because it takes a lot
for
you
boldness and effrontery to do that.
Okay, moving on to, are you done with
Yes,
that?
yes.
Okay.
Please go to the next.
So moving on to the Punch, we have Oyo, Edo, 10 others to vote in August by-election. We also have PDP to defy INEC, backs Makinde for NEC meeting. That's on page 2. Outrage as Nod rejects Osun allocation, transfers to APC chairman.
Okay.
That's on page 45. We have Federal Revenue Agencies face shake-up as Tinubu signs tax bill. We also have, the Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the commissioning of the newly constructed Kabusa-Keti Road in Abuja Municipal Area Council. That's all we have on Punch for today. Okay, Customs, NUPRC, MDAs may cede tax collection to NRS. New VAT sharing formula begins January 1st, 2026.
All right, Sharon.
Okay, New Telegram. Tinubu signs 4 tax bills into law. New regime begins January 1, 2026. Reps, warps, police over barrack sale, 6 billion contract racketeering. That should be in page 4 and 25. Tinubu supports created more enemies for me. Wiki, page 7. Iran and Israel cease fire. 4 prices won't fall immediately. IP man in page 2. Allow states to create local governments, says Yenogua deserves 5 local governments in page 4 of the New Telegram. That's it for, okay, one more. INEC delays by-elections in River State, Zamfara over emergency rule. Yes, that's all for New Telegram.
All right, let's go to Daily Independent. I have this headline, so bold. New tax laws necessary for Nigeria's prosperity, says Tinubu. And here is a rider, federal government to roll out modalities soon. Implementation kicks off January next year. And other one, we have Nigeria's budget overlap, sign of effective fiscal transition that's coming from Tamino. And also fight against illicit drug, a national movement. That's Tinubu saying there. And here's a rider, we arrested 66,085, convicted 12,201 in 53 months. That's coming from Marwa. That's a whole lot there. We talked about this drug thing earlier.
Yes.
And arrests will be made in that regard. And then we'll be able to bring all of this to a stop. Drug in Nigeria, it's really affecting. It's increasing. And then youths,
bigger.
Youths are going into it on a daily basis. INEC shared ND 15 others for South Development Commission. And this is from our own dear state. The government replies Catholic Church on our Memorial Park demolition. Page 29 of Daily Independent. Go there and read the full story. NDIC gets new MD as Senate confirms Thompson. Page 6 of that story of it's having the story. Just took the headline. PDP BOT contest Damagun says Ayawu can't resume NEC holds meeting. There's a lot of talk on this PDP and the fact that it keeps getting worse with the party. The NEC meeting, I watched an interview yesterday with Bode George was being interviewed, and they're asking, are you even sure this NEC meeting will hold? What is actually the problem with PDP? Why is it one form of wahala after the other?
Yes.
Are they really prepared going for the 2027 election that is coming up?
I guess we will find
How
out.
to find out. And funny enough, 2027 is just by the corner.
It is by the corner.
And we are all waiting.
We are waiting. Some people that I wonder why. A lot of them have come out to speak and say it is selfishness of some of the people in the party. Some also have also talked about the fact that it is a wicked factor. In fact, I remember that one of the questions raised was the fact that Wike owns PDP. And Bode George was like, no, Wike doesn't own PDP. He went as far as even saying, well, Tinubu also own APC. So, but then, why is one man? Whether we like it or not.
If he owns PDP, are we saying that the defection is to weaken his power?
Or
exactly?
maybe, yeah.
Who knows?
Okay, like I said,
Who knows?
It's just by the corner.
Who knows?
It's
Unless
just
it's
by the
going on.
corner.
I just believe that. I hope rather that more will be done in this regard. Because if at the end of the day, all these opposition parties can't put themselves together to work together to stand in 2027, are we still not gravitating towards the one-party system?
In as much as we thought we're actually gravitating towards a one-party system, INEC came out saying they have up to
110 parties.
And I'm like, yes. So in as much as we feel like, okay, there is a division in PDP, but now we see other parties are emerging.
Coming up.
So,
Exactly.
like I said, 2027 is
It's going to be
hot.
bomba to bomba.
Going to be hurt. We can only wait and see.
Yes. Okay, moving on to The Guardian. We have use presidential power to restructure Nigeria, create state police, Afenifere tells Tinubu. We also have strengthened ICRC as engine room for infrastructure revolution, says Tinubu. SAN slams federal government, alleges bid to divert Osun local government allocation. How erratic supply short changes banned a household industries. Senator turns heat on NNPCL over 210 trillion audit mess. PDP BOT opposes Anyawu's reinstatement as court set September 22nd for national SEC dispute. Cautious optimism as Nigeria trades new tax terrain from January 2026. In August, and that's on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper, Falana asks AGF to drop criminal charges against free speech. I think talking about free, in Nigeria we talk about freedom of speech is there, but the freedom after speech is where the problem lies. It's not guaranteed. So now this is coming from Falana. He's asking the AGF to drop criminal cases against free speech. We have Mawa links 90% of terrorism, violent crimes to drug use. Okay, still talking about the old drug. I think we've talked about that already. And that's all I have from The Guardian.
We can find that in page 2 Why Nigerians exports are losing ground in Africa. We can find that in page 2. EFCC arrests 34 internet fraudster in Ekiti State. We can find that in page 18 and 19. Gospel singer sentenced to death for killing girlfriend. You can find that in page 12 and
I think I remember the story of the gospel singer. So the judgment has already been passed.
Yes.
And I like the fact that, yes, he's actually going to face the consequences
The
of
full
of his actions. And to think that he's tagged a gospel singer, that's... I think that should be removed from, just go straight to
exactly.
Because I don't think, just like we said, it takes a lot.
You know,
so you can't say you're a gospel preacher.
Say he was under the influence of...
Of course.
I'm very certain he was under the
influence of drug or something. Exactly.
Actually, who does that? Where is the love for humanity?
It's crazy because I remember I watched his interview then. It circulated on social media, and he was the way he was talking.
I think at first he wasn't even remorseful.
He wasn't.
At first he wasn't remorseful. It was
later.
He started when it has cleared off.
Yes,
of him.
Don't say that this is reality. You're going to face the penalty for
it's too late.
the actions.
It's too late. It's far too late. Okay, INEC fixes August 16th for by-election in 12 states. Deploys 30,451 staff. You can find that in page 10. NDLEA nabs 294, seizes 22,710 kilogram drugs in Ondo State. You can find that in page 18 and 19. Centralized hospitals for referrals, Ondo Assemblies urges. You can find that in page 3 of the Weekend Hope. Police to prop armed escorts for actress Angela Okori. You can find that in page 13.
You know, we are going to talk more on that story. We're going to
Tinubu signed to law. You can find that in page 2. That's all for it.
Okay, that's all on the newspaper headlines.
Courage that they are going to reform the system such that Nigerians will be paying more tax so that more revenues will be available for government. I think it's a welcome development. The area that many Nigerians were afraid of before was that people are poor in this country. And I thought if people are poor, that how do you expect them to still be paying more? Anybody earning below 250,000 naira will not be taxed. And
on inflation, job creation, and foreign investments with this reform.
new reform.
well, from that angle again, you may be entertaining the fear that if companies are paying higher tax and people too, that any more than 250,000 naira are paying higher taxes, that in a way it will create inflation in the country. To me, I don't think that can create inflation. if the economy is well managed by the economic managers of the country, because tax itself is a way of government having enough muscle, enough resources to be able to implement programs here and there. Programs that will even benefit people that we can consider as poor. But if you say it will create inflation, maybe through indirect way of them passing it across to consumer at the end of the day, that it will create inflation, we will not be addressing the issue. We will not be addressing the matter if we allow that fear to, cover our face. So let government implement tax that is progressive in nature, tax that a lot of resources will be able to be generated and be able to be spread across many areas that government needs to intervene. If you look at all the advanced countries of the world, most of these countries don't have resources. They don't have subsidy that they give to their citizens, except through tax. So, economy to that level where we want the economy to get to. And mind you, there are still a lot of people that are not being put into consideration as far as tax net is concerned. So let them put all these people into consideration and expand the net in such a way that they will pay. And by the time government have more resources, they'll be able to disburse more to states and to local governments more than they are presently doing.
Okay.
It will not cause inflation, it will not. It will rather expand the base of the economy, and a lot of activities will begin to take place, because if we have a lot of infrastructure on ground, people that are not even doing businesses because of lack of electricity, lack of this and that, they will now be able to be integrated into the system, and the economy as a whole will be the better for it.
Okay. With this new reform, what challenges do you feel may arise?
The challenges that have always been there is that government does not have enough facilities to go around, to go and do what is expected. There are many towns. How many officials does ODIRS have that will be able to go to most of these places? Because when we are talking about tax, it's not only salary earners, maybe public servants alone that we should be thinking about. How do we get tax from? We should also be thinking of the informal sector. As a matter of fact, the informal sector in this country is far, far bigger than the formal sector. And there are a lot of people that are not paying tax. There are a lot of businesses that are, all these agencies that are collecting tax will be using to cover all these areas. Inadequate manpower is still part of the system that we are operating in this country. And again, the issue of corruption too. Because people that are expected to collect tax, they go back to go and tell some businesses, maybe a business that is worth over 500 million naira in operation, and that have staff, maybe 40, 50 staff, that is expected to be paying more than 5 million, 6 million naira every month as staff. They connive with, the owners of these businesses, and they undercut They ask them to pay 800,000, they ask them to pay 1 million.
Yeah.
So in a way, they are doing the service to the nation because of the pittance that they have collected from the owners of these businesses. So these are the areas that government must look into critically before they can say we should have effective tax administration as far as the country is concerned.
Okay, thank you very much. What are the social justice and equity of this new revenue generation?
Well, the social justice and the equity that we're talking about is for them that they have now spread out that anybody below 250,000 naira salary will not be paying tax. But indirectly, they will still be paying because on every item that you buy in this country, you are paying tax. If you buy sugar, if you buy soap, if you buy groundnut oil, the manufacturers of this product, they will indirectly shift those tax to them. But if you compare them relatively to advanced world, people are not still paying as expected. So I want to believe that government has spread out the social justice by saying that anybody below 250,000 will not be paying tax, and that in itself is a kind of a mitigation of the expected pains that increased taxation could bring.
Okay, Vice Editor, I mean, we know there are a lot of bills that have been passed into law in Nigeria. Do you foresee this working? Are there going to be legal challenges or significant resistance to implementation of this tax reform bill? And you also know that our politics. How might this reform affect upcoming?
To another different level now, because when you look at implementation of laws ever passed in Nigeria, a lot of lacuna will be seen, in its effective management because of corruption that I've told you. Many of the aspirations that government initially had, it will be circumvented along the way because people will want to connive with potential taxpayers and they underestimate for them, and in a way these people will grease their palms and they will be getting what is not supposed to be at the expense of the system. So that is a challenge that we have. Another expectation is that there are still some people that do not have enough information yet, media contact with the generality of the people to let them know that it's a civil responsibility and obligation on their part for them to be paid. And if all these things are done, and done genuinely, with integrity, with sense of purpose, and with political will, I think the people will pay. They will pay. Having it in mind that it's for the social good of the country. But in a situation whereby we do not have effective information management, we do not have effective dissemination of information concerning this, and corruption along the value chain of tax system is not checked, you will see situation whereby all our goals and aspirations concerning this are not met in the short run and even in the long run. But we pray that the boldness that the government has in executing this law will galvanize the people to want to flow along the same tide. with government.
I'm so happy that you mentioned the issue of corruption. As you know, we are trying to make the less privileged to enjoy more while the rich are paying. Yeah, we know that in this country, money goes into some certain pockets. If you get power, anything is possible in Nigeria. So, I mean, it's okay that you are mentioning the issue of corruption. If that can be tackled, we also agree that it might go a long way.
Yes. And that means that maybe we can use technology to actually enhance these new reforms.
Okay, let me also ask this. Could this tax policy make the country more competitive regionally and globally?
Oh, for sure. If we can effectively manage it very well, I think Nigeria will be the leader. Already we are leaders in the sub-Saharan. In the West Africa sub-region. But yes, in the entire continent of Africa, we still have a long way to go because we are still behind countries like Egypt, like South Africa, like Kenya, for instance. So we must be able to implement very effective tax regime backed by law that is sound, and not only sound law for the people that are going to implement this thing to be very, very effective and carry out government instruction without going the route of corruption. The nationalism should be there. People should be patriotic. That this country, yes, that to another level of Eldorado, whereby every citizen will be proud that they are Nigerian citizens. So it's on the table of the government. At the same time, the people should be carried along through effective dissemination of information. And yes, and for them to be patriotic enough so that we can deliver a good country to generations coming behind us.
Okay, since this news broke yesterday, and quite a lot of people have been talking, especially civil servants. Some are already thinking, I'm not earning up to 250,000 a month. Does that mean I won't be paying tax anymore?
It's not that they will be paying tax at all. It's not. Even somebody on level one will still be paying. But what they actually meant is that the percentage that is expected to rise from people that are earning above 250 will be very high, higher than what they are getting now. But those ones that are below certain level, that are earning less than 250, theirs will not be increased. That is what we call progressive taxation. And when we have progressive taxation, it automatically means that it is the rich that are paying more. And that is how it is in advanced countries, all advanced countries that you can mention. It is the rich, and it is in tandem with natural justice as well, that the more I earn, the more I pay. I mean, it's in compliance with natural justice. So we can only implore all workers that this thing is for the good of the country. The only challenge we always have is this issue of people cutting corners through the connivance of tax officials. So let us take the message, to the quarters of tax officials that they should be magnanimous enough to be patriotic, so that whatever the intention of government is, they will be able to implement this to the letter. Thank you.
All right. So how is this? How is the reform expected to impact government revenue in the short and long term?
Oh, for sure. In the short run, as I said, if it is well implemented, you could see government revenue growing in leap and bound. You will expect a spike in the revenue that is coming to government. But I still keep on saying this. If corruption is not tamed, the expected rise in revenue will be eaten up by people that are that are
those who are already rich, who are getting richer by the day.
Yeah, that is just it. So we believe that everything will be well with correct information to the people and with people being patriotic. But patriotism that we are talking about and we are talking about is a thing that we cannot get overnight. But we believe one day we will get there if the correct message is getting out to the people at all times.
So the major thing is to enforce implementation, and of course for people to do the right thing, be patriotic enough.
Let me cut in. The criminal justice system in this country is still so weak because everybody caught in the act of corruption is not being dealt with appropriately in the way they are supposed to be dealt with. If you have speedy criminal justice system, it will make people to be on their level of
on their toes.
Sorry?
It's to make people to be on their toes. Put people.
Yes. Put people on their toes.
Yes.
And it will make people to be afraid to go and soil their names in corruption. So, except we carry the judiciary along and make the judiciary to be able to implement justice as at when due, speedy justice, because unnecessary delays in the court and all these things. Most of these people that embezzle, they get away with what they are doing every day. So that in itself has made many of government policies and aspirations not to be able to say true. So let us tackle corruption from the level of criminal justice system as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. What further steps can be taken to improve the tax system and ensure its effectiveness in promoting economic development?
Well, it's for government to expand the tax net, as I said. There are still some areas that are not well taxed. They should expand the net. They should be proactive in doing this. It's about thinking. If you put on your thinking cap and you begin to push further, you will realize that there are a lot of areas that have not been covered. That is the only way. And again, for messages to be going out as at when to, for people to pay their tax. It's not only at the level of government that is preaching this message, even as you are preaching in the church that people should pay tithes. At the same time, every pastor should be preaching to their congregation that they must endeavor to be paying tax too, not only tithe. So all these things, by the time we galvanize them together, you will realize that we'll be on the march forward as far as increment in our level of revenue is concerned.
Thank you very much for being guest this one. I like what you said last. Take the message everywhere. Even in the church, we preach, the pastors stand on the pulpit every Sunday. Mr. Daisy Adetayami for joining Perspectives this morning.
My pleasure.
Thank you. All right, you said quite a lot.
This brings us back to being patriotic as a Nigerian citizen. Being a better country or craving or asking for a better country begins with you.
Change.
The change begins with you. So just like he said, if we can cut away corruption and let every individual in the country be patriotic, do what needs to be done. Even the officials, do what needs to be done. Don't cut through corners. You as citizens, do what needs to be done. Don't cut through corners. And I think Nigeria is going to be a better place.
This corruption we keep talking about, it's us. We are the one corrupt.
We are the Nigeria
that is corrupt, and the younger ones are going to definitely take after us. If we don't know how to put ourselves in check in this corruption we keep preaching about, it's not today it started. It started like years ago. So if we keep preaching
it has eaten the fabric of our society.
Exactly. So it's actually we that needs to put ourselves in check. If we can put ourselves in check and stop cutting corners, of course we'll be able to put some certain things in place. And for our younger generation that are coming up, they will learn from that.
Learn from it, because that's the what they saw.
Yes,
that's what they will take.
They will take, of course.
You know, this tax reform bill, it took quite a while. When it was first mentioned, when the president talked about it, a lot of opposition came up. Some said the public were not carried along. The North they were not happy about it. A lot of intricacies, wahala, but finally it's coming up. I believe, like you've all said, it's for us to do right by this. If the government is trying all they can to make sure that they do things that are okay for us as individuals, as Nigerians, imagine our own way. We need to support and do what is right as well. It's not today we have tax issue. We've been talking about tax and all that. Exactly. But we know that, like our guest mentioned, there are a lot of cutting corners in Nigeria. There are a lot of not doing the right thing in Nigeria. There's a lot of corruption going on in our system, and it's not helping in any way. Because at the end of the day, we'll go and say the government is not working. No, government is not working. The rich will pay more. Yeah. Let the poor breathe.
Do not suffocate them.
Do not suffocate them. Let the poor breathe.
Yes.
And this reform is saying, if you're not earning much, you won't be paying much. You won't be paying at all. Imagine the peasant farmer, you know, who is living on his farm work. You are asking, the man brings his goods to the market, you are asking that he should pay huge tax on it. Imagine a petty trader.
Profits. At the end of the day, he's paying his profit as the tax.
Even at the end of the day, is eating what is eating. It's even more than what is
Yes.
So why are we like this?
At least the good part is not that they are not paying at all. If you buy anything, there's a little percent there that's at least just for you to feel your pain.
Yes. And we know our prayer also, apart from the corruption issue, is the fact that this start going abroad for everything. What we opened with.
Yes.
Imagine if you are taking from us and you're taking from the rich, and it should be used for
the impact is being seen. The
benefit.
People would actually want to even willingly say, "Oh, my tax for this month, I'm going to bring it forth." Do you understand? Yes. So when they see that, oh, whatever we're paying for, it's actually being used in
judiciously.
Yes, of course they would want
for the common good.
Right. And when we see these things, let's also try. Just like I said, be patriotic. Don't destroy government properties.
And we don't have data. That's number one problem we have in Nigeria. No matter how big you are out there, once you evade tax, you'll be caught. There was a time it was in the news that Lionel Messi, the great footballer, and his
enhance our facilities.
I think Nigeria has gotten to that stage.
We've gotten to that stage. We just need great hands and great people to actually
and
great minds to say, let's do this. And of course we can do it. If other countries can do it,
we can
the giants of Africa, of course we certainly can do it.
I love the smile when you say the giants of Africa.
Let's represent our name, of course.
Yes. We can do it, and that's the message. And I hope that this bill that has been signed into law will be properly implemented. It won't just be a thing of is law and then we keep cutting corners and keep doing the wrong things not to make it work. If we can make this work, then Nigeria can stand on its feet.
Nigeria will be better.
And will be better for it.
Much better. No, we're actually better.
Much better for it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I like the word the president said. He said, see, it has come to the time that Nigerians should enjoy being Nigerians.
I think I like that.
I like that. We should enjoy being Nigerians. It is no longer a thing for us to start running. We want to go abroad for greener pasture. We want to, because our country is not looking okay for us. So we hope that all of these things pans out well for us. It's a good development and a good starting point. Well, we'll be going to the newsroom now for developing stories. Do stay with us. When we come back, it will be time for us to take some trending issues. Stay with us. We'll be back.
ibà lásà ṣekú pani. àrùn yìí máa ń kọlu ènìyàn nípa ṣíṣí àwọn oúnjẹ wa sílẹ̀ tàbí àwọn ohun tí a dídùn. kéèyàn máa ṣe gbọ̀nsẹ̀ kó sì máa bì kó má sì lè ṣàlàyé bí ẹ̀jẹ̀ ṣe ń jáde létí nímú lẹ́nu kó yá tètè lọ sí ilé ìwòsàn tó bá súnmọ́ fún ìtọ́jú tó péye. ìdí rèé tí gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo ti wá gbé ìgbésẹ̀ akin láti ṣáájú ikọ̀ tí ó gbógun ti àìsàn ibà lásà. ẹ̀wẹ̀ iléeṣẹ́ tẹlifíṣàn Osrc Orange FM àti Sunshine 96.5 FM alálàyé pàrọwà sàn Orange FM àti Sunshine 96.5 FM alálàyé a ò ní rògùn ibà lásà o.
Nigerians earning less than 250,000 naira monthly will be exempted from income tax under the new tax laws. According to the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, households earning 250,000 naira or less per month are now classified as poor. He said that the objectives of the new laws, which will take effect from January 2026, were not intended to increase taxes, but to stimulate economic activity in the country and track tax evaders. Oyedele stated that the new laws would also protect businesses and ensure that the government does not tax poverty. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has declined to sign the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA). The proposed bill sought to empower the NDLEA to retain a portion of the proceeds from drug-related crimes. However, President Tinubu stated that this provision contradicts existing financial regulations and the Nigerian Constitution. In his letter, Tinubu explained that under the current law, all proceeds from crimes are paid into the government's confiscated and forfeited properties account. Disbursements to recovery agencies, including the NDLEA, require presidential approval and the consent of the Federal Executive Council, as well as the National Assembly. This process, he said, ensures accountability and oversight. In another development, President Bola Tinubu has convened a private meeting with key political figures from Rivers State in a bid to address the ongoing crisis in the region. The gathering took place at the presidential villa in Abuja and brought together suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Nyesom Wike, Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly Martin Samuel, and other members of the state legislature. The meeting is part of ongoing reconciliation efforts aimed at restoring stability in Rivers State. Earlier reports indicated that Fubara also held discussions with the suspended Speaker Mowole and other aggrieved lawmakers in Abuja. Reports describe the meeting as amicable, with Fubara and Mowole seen sharing a friendly moment. This at the second regular public media will be addressed. He said going forward, the Commission would work with the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, and the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ARCON, to institute legal actions against offenders. The National Judicial Council (NJC), chaired by Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, has recommended the compulsory retirement of 10 judges from the Imo State Judiciary following allegations of age falsification and breach of judicial protocols. The decision was made at the NJC's 109th meeting. 9 of the judges were found to have altered their dates of birth in official records to unlawfully extend their tenure. These include 5 High Court judges and 4 judges from the customary judicial appeals in Ekiti and Yobe states, and a new chairman for the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The Council emphasized its commitment to maintaining judicial integrity and upholding the rule of law across Nigeria's judiciary. The Ondo State government has responded to the Catholic Diocese of Ondo State regarding the demolition of the Memorial Park in Owo. In a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Ebenezer Adeniyi, the demolition was necessary to restore the dignity of Owo's culture and the original purpose of the site, which was done after consultations with the Olowo in Council. The government explained that the land used for the Memorial Park originally belonged to Agromore Limited, owned by the current Olowo, before it was acquired for public use in 2010. However, the Akeredolu administration reallocated the land to its original owner in January 2021, and the state government later realized procedural errors were made in taking possession of the land for the cenotafh's construction. The government also noted that there were protests from various segments of our community against the location of the Memorial Park, citing cultural taboos. Ondo State government said ongoing discussions between the Palace of Olowo and the government led to an agreement to relocate the cenotaph, which was demolished with the approval of the state government. Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa's administration emphasized its commitment to honoring the victims of the June 5, 2022 terror attack in a manner that respects the law, stakeholders' rights, and the community's culture. The government urged the Catholic Diocese to engage in constructive
Welcome back from the newsroom where Obichukwemeka took developing stories. It's moving ahead. It's still perspectives in case you've just tuned your television to OSRC. With the first part of the segments of the show. We had newspaper headlines, and we've also had the interview segment. Right now we're going to trending stars.